Well, I just want to get on some more facts on what's going on in the markets here lately with, especially with Russia. And here we have somebody celebrating global warming, making angels in the snow. So I don't know about this global warming, man. I put out a couple of videos on that, man. It was like controversial to say the least, but I'm not really worried about it one way or the other because I believe in protecting the environment. And silver is going to be one of the things that protects the environment through solar panels, right? So anyway, while we're all freezing our butts off over here in the wintertime, except for those in Florida, um, anyway, I'm not going to rub it in or nothing like that because in a way I wish I was up by the snow. I kind of like the snow in some ways. But there's going to be a lot of practical reasons why this oil dip in prices is not going to be able to be sustained. And the one big word out there that's going to cause it to go up is winter. Winter. I actually think, well, I don't want to get onto this controversial subject too much, but there's going to still be a lot of polar airs moving down from the North Pole into the populated areas where people use lots of heat. And you're going to need your four-wheel drive Jeep this winter quite a bit. If Buffalo is any indication of what's going to be coming down the pike this winter, usually it starts out like that. Because I can tell you one thing, I remember I was up in New Jersey in 95, 96 in northern New Jersey, and that happened to be the snowiest winter they ever had on record, going all the way back to the 1700s or whatever it is that they kept records. And I remember the first snowstorm wasn't you wouldn't know 8.5 feet or something, but it was about 10 inches or something in November. And then there was a lot of other storms that were 1 foot, 2 feet, 3.5 feet. So what I'm bringing this up for is because I can't see how oil prices are going to stay down. I know why they're freaking pushing them down. I do know why they're pushing them down. They're trying to do a regime change in Moscow, and it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work anyway. I don't think Putin is as popular as, the polls say in Russia. I know he won in some places in Russia in the election. He won with 146% of the eligible vote. But, a lot of people in Russia just don't know what's going on. They'll just be told what's going on, and they're going to back up their nation. And they'll do what they have to, even like the girls here, and get out there in the high heels and do some car washes to make ends meet or whatever they got to do. So anyway, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, I think that's how you say his name, he says the purpose of the sanctions is to engineer regime change in Russia. That's all according to the major media now. This is not even according to, the alternative media or whatever. I'm alternative media, but I'm not alternative in their camp, and I'm not in the major media camp either. So just bear with me on this because the reason I think, we see what's going on. Low oil prices is designed to break Russia, create some kind of dissent at home, so to change Putin. Actually, Putin was kind of stupid to do that stuff in Ukraine. I mean, he's not a dumb guy at all, but Russia depends so much on oil. It's ridiculous for their revenue. There's so much of the country. You wouldn't believe. I think it's mind-boggling for people to believe in the West how open Russia is with territory. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of people in Russia basically live near Europe, basically towards Ukraine. The whole part of Russia, like where 3/4 of it is actually in Asia, that's only about 1/4 of the population lives there. And you're talking about a country that's twice as big as the United States with about half the population. So, I mean, going and venturing in Ukraine and being financially punished like the way Putin is was not a smart thing to do, but it's not going to be resolved anyway soon. And I think what's going to happen here, Russia, I don't think is going to be forced into bankruptcy. I'm going to tell you something, a little secret actually, that went on back in, I think it was, I guess when the Berlin Wall came down, what was it, November 1989, when officially that was like the symbolic middle of communism when it fell, let's say late 1989. Well, there's a lot of other things going on here, and while the girl here with the pink hat out there is pondering, how to next route to take in the snow, I just want to give you some food for thought here because back in the book wasn't published in 1984, but the latest memoranda that there was to the CIA was 1980, but most of it was actually in the 70s. It was Major Anatoly Golitsyn, KGB. He said that the Soviet Union had planned to dissolve itself to go with a long-range strategic deception against the West. So, in other words, we did not break Russia by bringing down the oil prices during the Reagan times. As a matter of fact, Gorbachev was handed the keys to the Presidio, which was the oldest naval facility, I think, in the western United States. And it was one of the ones that was closed down now. It overlooked San Francisco. It was in the hills of San Francisco. Gorbachev was given the keys to the Presidio as part of his, he later called it Gorbachev USA Foundation, as part of his, assets for his think tank, while Gorbachev was still president of Russia. So in other words, they're all in cahoots with each other. They always have been. I'm not sure where Putin is actually standing, but I almost tend to think that there may be a plan for some kind of major conflict because conflict produces change. World War I was planned. World War II was basically, I think what's going on is it's like the same kind of deal. I mean, the Japanese did a lot of wrong stuff in World War II prior to the United States getting involved, but I just want to tell you, they were trying to get Japan to attack us so they can get involved and fight Germany. So, I think there's a lot more games going on behind the scenes. But I also want to point out that in Russia's oil reserves, where they're located, is mainly in western Siberia. They're all pretty much in this one area. There is such an vast expanse of territory in Russia that basically has nobody in it. I mean, most of the Russians are really concentrated down here in the south, along the eastern part of Russia. This expanse of Russia in Asia is like, forget about it. I mean, it's not much there. So when Putin actually did his adventure in Ukraine, just say for stupid argument that he was right or morally right or some crap. I mean, I don't think he is. I mean, why? To me, the Ukraine should have been 100% independent. But my point is, that's actually cost him a great deal economically. It wasn't worth it. I mean, he could have done a lot more for Russia just staying out of Ukraine because the money would have been flowing in. But I don't think this deal with the oil price is going to be able to be held up for long. And, it's going to be a matter of people are either going to be out in the cold, freezing their butts off like the snowplow girls up here in Buffalo. These are the Buffalo snowplow girls with they got some special forces that came in actually to deal with all that. Wearing silver high heels and everything too. But what's actually going to happen is, the demand for oil is just going to bring the price back up. There is a major shorting operation going on in oil. Major. And I just want to tell you this. 2/3 of Russians' exports is energy, oil, natural gas, but also metals, 13.5%. So between metals and oil and chemicals, which is all related to commodities, at 5.5%, you're really putting, Russia in a major hurt locker. It's like they're not going to be able to do much about this until oil prices go up. But if they can last, it's going to be a matter of, let me put it to you this way. According to the major media, they've been repeating this over and over and over again, actually. They said right now, even according to the major media, this is probably the second worst time in history to own equities in the USA. The worst time was before the tech bubble. You know what happened then? Major freaking nosedive, right? The tech bubble was definitely overvalued. Right now, they say that everything is overvalued, overbought, there's, over-leveraged. So, It's just going to be a matter of who can outweigh who. I'm not rooting for the Russian side here or anything like that, but I just got to tell you again that Russia, it fell apart. It was planned to fall apart. It could be they were in cahoots with the Western elite too when that happened too. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a lot of different things going on, and it's like you really can't pinpoint exactly which elitist is running the show because there's a lot of push and shove. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to last that long with our markets. Our markets are going to come down. They're going to have to do a lot more stimulus, and this winter is actually going to put too much pressure on oil where you're not going to see it this low, and Russia's going to start making more money due to that because that's where most of their money comes from, oil and natural gas. So today, if you looked at crude oil, it's down to 73.51. This is actually getting in the range where it's hurting the businesses in the United States, you know, the shale oil industry. Between Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, well, one's range is like, I forgot which one is what, but one said it's about 75 is the break-even point, and the other one says 76 to 77. So basically, it's the mid to high upper 70s is the break-even point. Now, I did put out, and it was a fact, I mean, it's not that it was conjecture, but Harold Hamm was the 50th wealthiest man in the world. He actually sold off all his short position in oil. That doesn't mean that oil is going to go up right away, but considering he's a self-made multi-billionaire that came from a very poor background, it's telling me this is not going to last. And the thing that tells me it's not going to last is looking at the weather pattern, whether it's from global warming or not. I mean, I'm not going to even get into that, but it's, say, for instance, the polar winds are coming down to the populated areas due to weather changes or whatever the hell's going on. It's going to bring up a lot more demand for natural gas, crude oil, fuel oil, and everything. It's not going to continue where it is today. These prices are not going to be able to be sustained. And, you know, but I'm not going to be cheering on Vladimir Putin when oil goes up and our stock market goes down. That's just, you know, it's just going to be another freaking cycle. That's all it is. The ruble has actually been getting clobbered for the last couple of years, and it's been actually been slaughtered in the last 4 months, especially this entire year. But even over the last couple of years, it's been getting clobbered. Actually, the Russia's been going downhill since we had the financial reset in 2008. They haven't been doing that well overall. But palladium, look at palladium. Palladium now is back over 800. I know it was over 900 not that many, what, a couple months ago or so, whatever it was. It's going to get back up over there, and that's the reason is because due from Russian tensions. So, just, you know, stay, you know, just, I don't know, you know, I know they're talking about $9 silver now, $1,000 gold. I just don't think, if it's getting to the point where, I don't know if you're going to be able to get the stuff if it gets down that low. You see, the point is, you know, with silver, like in other words, they'll close down all the areas that are the most expensive to mine. So if they have a mine, they'll just go for the easy stuff. But there's only so much easy stuff out there. But right now, there's not a whole hell of a lot of investment demand for silver. That's one thing. And the other thing is, when there is investment demand, it goes into paper. You know, it goes into paper. It doesn't go into actual silver. If it went into actual silver, the stuff would be a lot higher. But there's a limit to how high is high. I mean, for instance, it can go to, you know, if it went up to 40-something, the silver mines would be, I mean, all the miners would be flush with cash. If, you know, copper went up over to $4, you know, $4, and silver went up to, you know, 40-something dollars and all that type of stuff. Well, the mines would be flush with cash. And there's a limit to how high is high. But, you know, looking at the practical side of things, like, you know, silver is still being used. It still has industrial reasons for it. It's still being used for jewelry. I'm sure the girls here with the washing the car, when they get their money for washing the car, they're going to be buying some silver jewelry or whatever. And it's not, those demands aren't really going away. And plus, we also have a lot more with solar panels, too. So, you're not going to see the demand for silver dropped that much, even though the domestic investment demand is not there as much right now because it's been going down the last couple of years. But when silver goes up, we're going to see Russia making a lot of money because oil is going to lead the charge, and that's going to fill up the Russian coffers. But unlike the rest of the alternative media, which I am not one of, they're going to be cheering on Russia today and Vladimir Putin left and right. And my opinion is, I got my silver to protect myself and protect myself as an American citizen against the problems that we're becoming up financially. I'm not going to be here to cheer on Russia. And as we see what's happening with the polar fronts, the way they're changing, either we're going to get a lot more demand for oil and natural gas here real soon, and that's going to bring up the price of oil, or we're going to have to get acclimatized like old girl here is doing Angels in the Snow, because there's absolutely no way I think they can keep down the price of oil, considering what's going on with some of these weather changes, whether it's from global warming and it's causing the polar Arctic air to come down into populated areas. Well, even if it was from global warming, the polar Arctic air is coming down into the populated areas, and it's causing a lot more demand for fuel oil, heat, and I just can't see why Russia, they're not going to be able to play this game too long when they're shorting oil. And they're not going to be playing the game too much longer, even with, the markets. It could be going on for some months now from now. I don't know. Now, I do know that George Soros is going to be losing out part of his huge bearish bet on the S&P, but not all of it, because he did more bearish bets in 2014 that are good for a year. He's going to lose out that portion where he did the huge bearish bet in August 2013. Now, George Soros also gave $500 million to Bill Gross to play with because he doesn't know what to do with his money. So Bill Gross is going to lose it for him. I don't know, man. Maybe George Soros ought to open up a car wash or something. Move On Car Wash. I mean, that'd be a good name. And he's got that organization called Move On. I mean, that'd be a good name for a car wash, Move On. Got some girls with Move On t-shirts and stuff like that washing cars. And with George Soros over there funding it, right? So anyway, I don't know. But as far as what's going on here in the cold winter, this is not going to continue, man. I mean, the cold winter is going to continue. I'm talking about the markets for oil are not going to continue the way they are. But they can't. They can't. I mean, if they do, fine. I'm thinking, well, gasoline's cheaper, but I know it ain't. I know it ain't going to happen. So, and they're going to fail. I'm not 110% sure what actually is going on behind the real scenes, because I've always had this major suspicion that when Russia came down, like in other words, the Soviet Union fell apart, they actually, what happened was, they said it was planned. Major Anatoly Golitsyn said it was planned. He said beforehand what was going to happen, and it does look that way. All these people just all of a sudden became instant freaking capitalists from communists, right? They were communists all their life. It's like they weren't like, hung from the gallows or nothing like that. The same people were in power. They just says, okay, I'm going to be a capitalist now. So that's one thing. But the big suspicion that really makes me think it was planned are two things. One was Ronald Reagan says, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. He said that ahead of time before the wall came down. That was a little bit too orchestrated and, I don't know, scripted to me. And the other thing was, they were giving Gorbachev the keys to the Presidio, like I mentioned, which was the oldest naval facility in the West, before he even stepped down from president. He did not use it. He did not own it under the Gorbachev USA Foundation because it would have been a little bit too obvious. There was some other name he used before that. But the Gorbachev USA Foundation is one of these big environmentalist think tanks. And the environment is one of the reasons, not to say it, I'm all for freaking protecting the environment. Don't get me wrong. Okay? I'm just telling you that the environment is one of the globalist plans where they can get all nations involved on one cause, whereby you pay a global carbon tax. But silver might save us a little bit there too, because silver, as we see here, the shiny side of it is that silver is used extensively in solar panels. And if we can harness the energy from solar panels during the day and store it at night through, say, electrolysis of water, whereby we separate the hydrogen from the water and store just the pure hydrogen. And I've seen this on houses being done before. Well, we pretty much have 110% green earth. I'm definitely of a person that wants to use as little as possible of crude oil and gasoline and natural gas and fuel oil as possible. And silver is going to be one of the things that's actually going to bring us into the new age where we are 100% efficient. But at the same time, we do not want to be, on a yoke from a New World Order government where we're paying carbon taxes, and these taxes are going into some power that we have no control of. Now, I just want to point out something here very obvious, though, is that since Russia energy accounts for 2/3 of Russian exports, I will guarantee you 110% that Putin himself is New World Order. He's just a different flavor. Because if he's tied into the oil industry, his wealth is coming from the oil industry. He has Gunvor, which is the Swiss trading firm based in Cyprus, so they don't pay the capital gains on the trading oil. He's involved in that. He's got, like the state, Rosneft, I think is 70% state owned. Putin is highly, highly involved with oil, and he does want that revenue stream all the time because it helps his pocketbook out. He's not for green earth either. Not at all. Not at all. So, just a different bad guy of a different flavor. Just want to put that out there because, it's not like East versus West. They're playing like good cop versus bad cop, depends on how you look at it. Some people are saying like the good cop is the United States. Some people are saying the good cop is Russia. It depends on what it is. I'm saying they're both bad news. They're your enemy. Not that all cops are your enemy, but sometimes they can be. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they aren't. I'll get on with that. But anyway, in light of what happened over in Ferguson, I don't even want to get involved in that. I don't even want to talk about that because that's gotten to be such a hot topic, man. It's like ridiculous to the max. And I did read about it some, but I don't know. People got to chill out. I know one thing. And we're in this all together because, this is us against the Illuminati. And the Illuminati are playing us, we want to call it that. The Illuminati are telling us, pick a side, and we all fight each other. And I'm saying, no, we're all on the same side. We all like women, if we're guys. Anyway, well, most guys. I'd say, 98% or something, 95%, I don't know how many. But we all think the same way. Anyway, so over and out, and just want to remind you again that this game, I don't think, even though I'm not a fan of Putin or anything like that, I'm not. I think Russia is not going to go down, and there's not going to be a regime change in Russia. And if Putin lasts this, he's just going to come out stronger. So, what they're doing is stupid on our side, though. Even though Putin was stupid to go into Ukraine. I mean, he say it's his backyard, but, I'm pointing out over here, most of this part of Russia over here, this big giant part over here in the eastern Russia, the whole 3/4 of it, there's hardly any people who live there, man. I mean, you got a lot of work to do over there, building up infrastructure and roads and developing all that area, then try to go take a little piece of Ukraine or some crap. What a waste of money, man. Look how much it cost them. But, I don't know. I don't know, man. My name is not Vladimir Putin. I know what I'd be doing if I was him. I wouldn't be... I'm too good of a guy, man. I'd be like, saying, screw the oil, man. Everybody in Russia is growing hemp. Screw it. We're going to be the first nation on the world to be growing hemp. But he ain't gonna do that. You know why? Because he likes his money. I'd be like, screw it, man. You know, the hell with it. I don't care. We're all growing hemp. And the hell with the oil. We'll have green earth. We'll put all kinds of oxygen back into air when we're growing hemp. And we can run our cars off of hemp oil and hempoline. But anyway, I know this is silver update, but I'm telling you that this deal is not going to last. I know you've been hearing it so many times. All the freaking major media is telling you right now the market. They've been saying the markets have been dangerous. Now they're saying they're the second worst overbought since the only time it was worse was during the tech boom. And you know what happened then? Crash City, man. Crash City. And we're not going to have a regime change in Russia because Russia fell apart on purpose last time. They're saying that the low oil prices made Russia fall apart. It fell apart on purpose. It never even fell apart due to our actions. It was a scam. So anyway, enjoy the skiing up there in wherever you are, because we're going to be getting cold here pretty soon. It might even be getting cold in Florida, man. Maybe we'll have snow here for the first time. I don't know. Over and out.